NR Hour Sports Show. Happy New Year, everyone. It's the year of 2023. This is our first show of the new year with the NR Hour. We are live with one of our co-hosts, Kia Lyons, and we're joined by special guest, the man of the hour, Daniel Wilcox. He's a former NFL tight end, Super Bowl champion, won it with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He also played for Appalachian State in college. He went to he went to the Jets, Ravens, Buccaneers, and then I can't pronounce this, but Ryan Fire. Don't get me wrong. Ryan Fire. So we'll get to all his best moments, his winning the Super Bowl, everything. And what a great story he has. And now off the field, he does a podcast, and he goes on these weekly radio shows, talks about the Baltimore Ravens. He's now based out of Atlanta, Georgia. So Daniel, thanks for joining us today. It's truly an honor. Happy New Year. And how are you and your family doing today?
Awesome. Nathan, Kia, thank you guys for having me on the NR Hour. Really looking forward to this moment, man. And the family is great. You know, we just finished up New Year's, brought it in the right way with a little bubbly. None of us drink, so we had the little sparkling cider stuff, man. It was pretty awesome. But I had a good time, man. The whole family's here right now. My grandma's here, my mother-in-law, everybody's here right now. They all down at the house, and they're keeping us busy, man. Pretty fun. Thanks for having me on your first show of the 2023 year.
Let's go.
Let's go, Daniel. Thank you so much, and big thanks to your family for sharing this time. Time is so hard to come by anymore. So thank you. And we know the kids they want to get all your time too, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely, Kia. I love those earrings you got on, by the way.
Thank you. So tell us, you're the champ. Tell us what it's like to be a champion. Tell us.
Being a champion is a wonderful thing. I think being a young athlete and you're always really good at what you do early on, you feel like you're kind of a champion your whole life, you know. So winning the Super Bowl, of course, was like the ultimate feat when we got a chance to win in Tampa, the first Super Bowl in Tampa in 02-03. But it was such a magical moment for us, you know, as a player. And you dream as a kid one day hoping to have a chance to play in the NFL. I was the kid that never knew he really was good enough to play. Everybody told me I was good, and my high school coach was the first one that told me I was going to play on Sundays one day, and my head coach, Coach Freddie Jones. And, you know, you always feel like you're a champion because people will treat you a certain way. You know you're different, right? When you're really, really good at something, you kind of know you're different, you know, just like you guys in this show, you stand out among the rest, and you know that you're better, and you know that you're putting a really good product out there. So as a kid, it kind of goes over your head a little bit, but you know you're different. You definitely know you're different. Your coach comes to pick you up at the house. He takes you to practice. He picks you up from practice, take you home sometimes. So, I mean, once we got a chance to get to the Super Bowl, man, nobody thought we was going to win. Nobody, you know, we was playing against Jerry Rice, you know, and Tim Brown, you know, the Oakland Raiders. They had an older team.
Wow.
Rich Gannon was a quarterback, and nobody thought the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were going to win, you know, but we had some freaking stud. I mean, John Lynch, you know, Mike Allstott, you know, Warren Sapp, Keyshawn Johnson, Joe Jared Vicious.
Wow.
You know, we was loaded. You know, Derek Brooks, who I feel like is probably one of the best linebackers I've ever seen play the game. We had such a phenomenal team. We were stacked on defense, and offense we was pretty good too with Michael Pittman and company. And I really felt like you know, we was where we were supposed to be at the right time. We peaked at the right time. You know, John Gruden came in, he was the new head coach at the time, and I think that was the only thing extra we kind of needed was an OC and just really an offensive coordinator. I think Tony Dungy was the mastermind behind the entire thing, us winning that Super Bowl and being in a position where we could. The only thing we was missing was the right OC, and John Gruden came in as new head coach and the OC, and his offense was what catapulted us to give us that extra little nudge and push to get us over the hump, I think. And I was one of the guys that came in that year with Gruden, and it was a really interesting, you know, tight thing to see, you know, to see how good we were, how fast we were as a defense, how fast we were as an offense, and how up-tempo our offense was. We just kind of kept people off beat all the time.
Wow, I have like 800,000 questions. That's like incredible. It's incredible.
Yeah.
And Tony Dungy, like how quickly did you all gel having him there and like the faith side of it?
Well, Tony was a unique person. He was probably somebody a lot of us needed because most of us
like
was
the whole world.
Yeah, I mean, most of us was into some stuff we probably didn't need to be into. But Dungy is. I never got a chance to play with Tony. You know, so I actually was in New York with his best friend, Herman Edwards. So
Okay.
Herman rookie year as a head coach was my rookie year as a player.
Mhm.
You know, so I got there and I got a chance to play with Herman for a year, and he's a lot like Tony, right? You know, he's inspirational. He's eloquently spoken. He handles himself very well. When you see him, sometimes you kind of think they're the same person. They kind of carry themselves the same kind of demeanor almost. And when I left New York to go to Tampa, you know, John Gruden was a first year head coach that year as well. So I got 2 head coaches in their rookie year, actually 3, because John Harbaugh was in his rookie year as a head coach as well when I went to when he came to Baltimore. It was such a awesome experience to be around Herman and to feel the aftermath of Tony Dungy's effect and how much those guys really respected Tony Dungy and how happy they wasn't really happy that Dungy was gone. And he put together a solid group of guys to go down there and play football. And when you look at that defense, there's a lot of Hall of Famers that came off that defense alone. It's crazy.
Wow. I gotta ask you about, obviously your coaching staff is like an all-star team with John Gruden, obviously Tony Dungy, but can you talk about the whole coaching staff and what they meant to you and your teammates? Because they're obviously the players have to perform, but the coaches, man, had a big influence in your guys' performance in the Super Bowl.
Well, our coaching staff was a very unique staff. I mean, shoot, like Mike Tomlin was our linebackers coach. He's the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers now. You know, I think he was such a phenomenal person and character. I mean, he's coaching Derek Brooks, you know, Nate Webster, Shelton Quarles, Al. What's Al's last name right now? I can't even think of Al's last name right now. He left and went to Dallas.
Al Harris.
Al Harris.
Yeah.
Is it Al Harris?
Yeah.
I don't think it's Al Harris.
Oh, it's not Harris?
I don't think it is, but I'll figure it out before the show's over with. But he left us and went to Dallas after that first year, and after the Super Bowl and went to Dallas. He got a big contract over there. But he, you know, Tomlin did a phenomenal job. Our defensive coordinator was probably one of the best ever. Older guy, you know, barely could talk. He sounded like whispers from the old Harlem Nights movies and stuff. He's whispering, "Hey guys," you know, he got that really raspy voice, and he did such a phenomenal job. His coaching lineage is just phenomenal. And on the offensive side, Gruden, like I'm gonna be honest with you, I didn't really like Gruden as a person, right? I didn't like him as a person at all, but as a coach, I thought he was a phenomenal, excellent old guys. I think he just did a great job of putting us in situations where we could be great. And he put us in mixed match situations all the time because he was constantly thinking about the chess pieces. How can I move the chess pieces on the board to put my guys in the best predicament possible so that we can go checkmate, right? And he did a phenomenal job of that. He has a genius mind in that standpoint. As far as how he talked to us and how he carried us, I wasn't huge on that at all. And I think the kind of team unraveled because of his mannerisms and how he treated guys. You know, so that next year, Keyshawn was banned off the team and wasn't able to come back and play. You know, Warren Sapp left and went to Oakland. You know, John Lynch was gone. You know, he got, most of the best players on the team that had voices. You know, he got rid of all those guys. Keyshawn was gone. You know, it was just everything just kind of fell apart that next season, and it was never the same. You know, he kind of dismantled the entire team that was such a phenomenal team that won a Super Bowl for him. You know, so that just kind of shows you like the type of person he was. You know, but as a coach, I can't take anything away from him as his smarts and geniuses. And the way he talked to you, I wasn't a big fan of that. You know, but we had some really great coaches on that staff, man. And I think that allowed us to be as good as we were. It allowed us to catapult ourselves and stay motivated enough to go play the game that we was going to play. And I felt like we had so much leadership, you know, with the veteran players on that team that it was kind of hard for us not to win. You know, Lomas Brown was one of the guys that come in mind all the time. He was an offensive lineman, an older guy, and he didn't even play that much that year, but he was like that veteran coach. You know, he was kind of like Jonathan Ogden was his last year. The Ravens tried to get J.O. to stay on, even though he was going to retire. And they was going to pay him a couple of million just to be like a player coach. And that's kind of how Lomas Brown was. He was a big offensive lineman, you know, 6'8", 6'9", long arms, had played in the league for a long time. And he was around. And anytime we needed him to step in to play, he could, you know, but he didn't have to play that much because we was already good enough.
So before we go any further, I'm going to add in this other person as their other co-host. Just joined.
I'm chomping at the bit.
Italy's coming in.
Italy Jet. He does a Jets podcast. You're gonna like him. He's cool.
Okay.
All right.
You just grab this.
But yeah, Kia, you can go on if you want because we are live right now. If you wanna.
Well, so communication and delivery is so important. And we're talking about like
Absolutely.
how you are inspired by, can we take it back? Was it Coach Freddie who took you to practices?
Coach, yeah, Coach Freddie Jones. He was the guy.
Tell us about him. Tell us about like how that impacted you and your commitment and performance.
Well, Coach Jones was the first father figure I had in my life, right? So he was the first guy as a young kid, you know, in middle school. He was actually the middle school's PE coach. So he coached middle school PE, but he was the head varsity football coach at the high school, right? So he was able to kind of recruit the middle school kids before they even got to high school. So he knew how we ran. He knew how well we ran. He knew how athletic we was because he had us in gym every day. He had us run laps around the building that gave us assignments to do. So he was kind of the first person that kind of took notice of me and my true raw talents and kind of catapulted me and pushed me to be better. Anytime, my mom was a single mom, so anytime he had an opportunity to come grab me and pick me up from the house, he came to the house to talk to my mom. So I really want Dan to play for me. And I think he's special. I think he got the ability to be good. And I think what he noticed most about me was my leadership ability. He saw how the other kids kind of flocked to me around me, and he knew kind of get me on the field would bring a lot more guys out to play. So he made sacrifices, man, as a young coach at the time, a young head coach at the time on the high school level, to come and pick up a young kid and his cousins to get them to football practice or to drop them off from football practice because my mom couldn't come get us sometimes, and to make sure we got home safely. And the Decatur area is already such a tightly knit area anyway. Like if you're in the Decatur city school system, it's only one high school in the whole city schools here in Decatur. So I was blessed, man, by having him as my head coach. And he was kind of like a Dungy type. He didn't curse. If you did curse, he would pinch you like, stop doing that, boy. Just little stuff like that. He would never hit you, but he would do little things that make you respect him and listen. He would grab your nipple or something and twist it, some silly stuff like that, right? So, but he was just one of those guys, man, that just was the first guy. He was really church oriented. He's a pastor, deacon type guy all the time. And he just did a phenomenal job with us as young men, just keeping us centered, grounded, and kept us around the facilities where we needed to be more so that we were not in the streets doing stupid stuff.
What a great guy to have in your corner.
Yeah,
so Italy, if you want to introduce yourself and then.
Hey, Italy.
Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm Italy Jet, Gino. How you doing, Kia? Nathan, Daniel. I just have a really quick question for you.
Sure.
When it came to, so you're Super Bowl champion, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
You played in the Pirate Bowl, Bucks versus Raiders and stuff.
Yeah.
How that whole season, because I imagine you've been playing for this your whole life. This is your goal. This is what you want at the end of the day. It's hard to win a championship.
It is.
That whole season leading up to the Super Bowl, how great was that feeling for you?
It was phenomenal because, I was actually up in New York that season to start off. I don't know if you knew that or not, Jet, but I started that year off in New York with the Jets. And let me tell you about that season. Like my second year in New York was like a really big pivotal moment for me in football. So my rookie year, when I got picked up as an undrafted free agent to the Jets, Herman Edwards was a rookie year head coach that year. He brought me in, and I went through all the OTAs, all the mini camp stuff. I smashed it, killed it, right? Then I hurt myself training on the break between the mini camps and then the start of training camp. So when I got hurt, I hurt my calf muscle training with Coach Jones, Freddie Jones. I got back in. I was doing the Jets work off program, but he was calling everything off what I had to do. So when I got back to New York, I felt fine, but I was still that my calf was still bothering me. When I got back to training camp. The first day of training camp, my calf popped again, and it was bad enough where they thought it was torn. Wow. So they told me I was going to be out the next 2 or 3 weeks. This happened the first day of training camp, So that first day, I ended up getting cut. So Herman Edwards came to me and he looked me in my eyes. He said, "Man, you did a heck of a job in OTAs and mini camps. How your calf feeling?" I said, "Man, it sucks right now, Coach. I really want to be out there, but I can't go." So he looked me in my eyes, and Herm looked me straight in my face, Jet, and he said, "Man, if you do half the stuff that you did in OTAs, when you put those pads on, you're gonna make this team hands down. No worry, get healthy." Wow, no problem. I went to the cafeteria to go eat, and when I came back, they called me to the coach's office and cut me. Yep. So that year, I learned that year I had a real crash course of how it feels to be cut, how it feels to be re-signed, what it means to go to the practice squad, to the active roster, back and forth. That first year was a kind of really rocky, rough year, but a good year for me. You know, I played a couple of games. You know, I was on the active roster for a little bit over half the season. You know, got a pay bump and, you know, that type of stuff. Went to the playoffs that year, lost to Oakland. Then the next year I came back. They wanted me to gain weight. I came back, gained a little bit of weight. And I'm learning every day is a new experience for me. Like I'm sitting in the locker room in New York with Curtis Martin, you know, Lamont Jordan, Santana Moss was a first round pick with me that year. You know, Marvin Jones, Sam Coward. I'm playing with all these guys. So, I mean, it's phenomenal guys, like great. You know, Mo Lewis is an old UGA guy, so I knew him from, you know, the Georgia area. You know, so when I went through that whole season, that second year, they cut me and put me on the practice squad from the start of the season, and I was on the practice squad all year. And it was such a rough space for me. And, you know, I was that kid that, bro, if I made the practice squad, I'm happy. I don't care. But once I got on the practice squad and I realized like I wasn't going to dress out every week, I wasn't going to play every week, it became a really challenging moment for me. Like I was really depressed. I was really struggling for the first time whether or not I was doing the right thing in my life. Like I didn't know if football was for me anymore. So I started to almost tap out. I literally started to almost tap out, and I had to pray about it. I remember getting on my knees and praying one night and just asking God, like, God, if I'm doing the right thing, like, let me know. I don't know if you remember Sam Garnes. You remember Sam Garnes? The big safety that he was with the Giants, and then we brought him over. We brought him over my second year in New York with the Jets. And Sam came over, and me and him was having the biggest battles in practice. Like because I was a practice squad guy, so I'm going against the first defense every single time. Mo Lewis, Sam Coward, all those guys, you know, Marvin Jones. And I remember hitting Sam. Me and Sam Garnes went head to head one time, and it hurt my neck and my shoulder. And from that moment on, I was like, bro, I don't think I'm doing the right thing. I feel like a freaking practice dummy. I almost really packed my bags, and I was about to tell the Jets I'm done. And I prayed about it, and then once I prayed about it, about a week later, I got a phone call from Tampa Bay. And they asked me did I want to be a Buccaneer, and they was like, if we offer you this deal, would you try to compete with the Jets? You know, they was talking back and forth to my agent, right? So my agent picked up, hey, the Tampa Bay just called you. They want to put you on the active roster. I know you've been on the practice squad. I know you're not liking it. Are you interested in being a Buck? I'm like, hell yeah, I want to be a Buck. What are you talking about? I want to let me get back to the South, right?
And an active Buck.
Active Buck. Yeah,
active
give me that
is
pay
different
raise.
than just signing. That's awesome.
Yeah. And I'm thinking I'm going in to play like right away, right? So it's like, you know, they called me and he was like, they want to know if you decide to be a Buck, you know, are you going to go back and forth with New York, you know, as far as contract wise? Because they know the Jets could match whatever they offer me, and they could activate me that week if they wanted to.
Right.
I was like, I'm telling you right now, man, I'm so unhappy right now. I'm so unhappy right now that if they offer me right now today, I'm gone. So he called me back within 30 minutes and like, hey, man, they got a contract for you. They want you to come be a Buck. He literally put me on the plane that day, and by the time the Jets knew, I was halfway to Tampa already.
God airlifted you out of there.
Straight up. So
I'm
really
just sorry it was the Jets. Damn.
I am too, man.
Love it.
I am too.
Italy shows up. We get the Jets story.
If you remember, you might remember Gerald Soule. He was our starting fullback.
Yeah.
Richie Anderson was our star fullback at the time, who was a Pro Bowler. You know, he was blocking for Curtis Martin at the time, right? You know, so they saw me as being the next Richie type guy because I was a receiver, tight end, hybrid, fullback type. And they saw me being the next Richie Anderson. So they kept putting me on the back burner, trying to hold me out to see if I was going to develop the way they wanted me to develop. And it didn't make sense to me because I'm so used to playing the game, not watching the game, right? And Gerald Soule was, of course, the next in line. He was the next fullback. So I was behind Gerald and those guys. And they brought in Lamont, I think, not Lamont Brightful. He was with the Ravens. What's Lamont Jordan? Lamont Jordan. They brought Lamont Jordan in my second year, and he was the new tailback behind Curtis and stuff. And it was just a really rough time, man. And when I went to Tampa, it was like week 10 that year. And the Jets wasn't even making the playoffs that year. We sucked our second season. The first year we went to the playoffs. Second year we couldn't figure it out. Vinny was hurt. Chad was kind of going back and forth, Pennington. And I ended up leaving to go to Tampa. And when I got to Tampa, the Bucks was killing everybody. It was like 12-1 at the time. It was like 10, 10-1 or something. So we was like, every game was like on the road. We was going to places. Then next thing you know, we in the playoffs, and every playoff game was an away game. and we steamrolled every freaking body in the playoffs. We really just ran through them like Swiss cheese, and you could feel the buildup, man. Like you really could literally feel the buildup. Like, bro, we pretty freaking good.
Yeah.
Like we're really freaking good. And I had just came from a great group of linebackers, like big, solid, 260, could run, physical, harder, run stopper type, linebackers. Then I go to Tampa, and everybody's smaller and faster and explosive and quick and could run and cover. Like Derek Brooks might have been a legit 4.3, 4.4. Like he was a big linebacker that could freaking run. Yeah. And they body types were all different. It was so crazy. Like everybody, Shelton Qualls, who's I think like the GM down in Tampa now, Shelton Qualls or something. Derek Brooks is still like the king of Tampa, and it was such a weird, different situation. So when I got to Tampa, man, like you felt that build up coming, and you almost had chills on your body every game, like every play, everything you watching, you knew these guys were different. You really, 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 and I'm still learning. I'm a baby. This is still my second year in the league. Right. I'm still wet behind the ears coming from Appalachian State. The only other guy in the league from App State at the time was Dexter Coakley, who played for the Dallas Cowboys. You might know him.
Dexter Coakley.
That might be one of your guys. So Dexter Coakley was the only guy from App State, and I didn't know Dex because I didn't play with him. And I came in out of JUCO. He was leaving already in the league already. So I didn't get a chance to play with Dexter. So I didn't have anybody I can just talk to, like the guys from Miami and Alabama and Georgia and all those guys, and they can kind of let me, we could kind of bounce things off each other. This was all totally new for me. Every experience, every day, every wake up, every assignment, every meeting, everything was so new. And now I got 2 coaches in 2 years. I come from Herman Edwards, who's the nice guy, to John Gruden, who's the asshole. It was really weird. It was really weird, man. So, but going into that playoff and going into that Super Bowl game, and everybody had us like predicted to lose. So every time you see like the prediction, it was Oakland logos on the predictions, and there was no Buck logos. Nobody picked.
I was rooting for you though. I was here in St.
Bro.
Louis. I was rooting for you though.
I appreciate you, bro.
You brought in
that
magic.
I tried.
Yeah.
I tried. My whole family. Man. We were Bucks fans that game.
Well, nobody believed in us at all, Jet. But us.
I know.
We was the underdogs going into that game, and I mean, I was a huge Jerry Rice fan, right? As a kid, I studied all my routes by watching Jerry Rice. He was the guy that made me feel like I wanted to be a receiver, So being there, watching them on the sideline that game, man, was so freaking phenomenal. It was breathtaking, and it was just such an awesome experience. Watching the confetti drop and seeing how hard these guys had prepared to get there, and how hard I prepared to help them. I mean, it was a great experience, man. It really was, man. I can't tell you enough how amazing that experience or that year was for me. The bad part about it, I never got back there again. And I played another, I think, 6 seasons or 7 seasons after that, and I never got back there again.
But that is a miraculous. You went from like the lowest low of praying, saying like, hey, am I here? Am I doing this? And to the highest high, airlifted, like enter the magic. Got the win, the miracle, like surrounding you and all the players and your that's amazing. So tell us about the high of like signing, like getting picked, putting on the uniform, calling Coach Freddie.
Well, when I first got to New York, I didn't really know what to expect. I think I was more scared than anything, right? So you go through draft day. Draft day is one of those things that it's almost like a girlfriend telling you that she's going to be your girl and then changing her mind every 2 minutes, but she's beautiful, right? She's like on your level, kid, or on your level, right? She's gorgeous, she's beautiful, and you're looking at this girl like, oh my God, I gotta have her, and then she say, do you want to be my boyfriend? You be like, yeah. And then she be like, psych. And then you're like, God. That's kind of how draft is. Like I'm sitting at the draft, like I'm sitting there watching. I knew I wasn't going for day 1, but I had teams telling me I might get drafted 5th, 6th, 7th round, right? So day 2, I was looking, man, for somebody to, to really pick me up. And I had a couple of phone calls like, hey, if you're still around, we got the next pick. We're going to pick you up, such. And then, the way these teams were, it was only 3 teams talking about drafting me. It was the Jets, the Ravens, and the Giants, right? So between those 3 teams, I got the phone. I think I got 2 phone calls second day saying, hey, we're still around when we get to the 6th, we're going to pick you up. Around we get to the 5th, we're going to pick you up. And it came and went. Those picks came and went. And I wasn't the guy sitting in front of the TV trying to watch the draft at the time. To be honest with you, I don't even think it was on TV back then. It might not have been on TV. This was 2001. And and I felt like I just had to wait on that phone call, and I didn't have no draft party or anything like that because I didn't know what this thing was going to be. I just remember being nervous, and I remember getting a phone call from my agent like once the draft was over with. And the cool thing about not getting drafted is you come from teams picking you to all of a sudden you're picking them.
Mm-hmm.
So imagine you got all these girls and they trying to pick you to be their boyfriend. And you're like, yeah, please let one of them pick me. You hoping, wishing they pick you, right? And then all of a sudden the table flip. It's my turn to pick y'all. Now all of them looking at you like, come, please pick me. And you got all these teams calling you like back to back to back to back. I had like 16, 17 teams call like, hey man, I know you didn't get picked up, but we got a spot for you, you know, on our free agency. So now I get a chance to pick what team I wanted to go to. And I was going to choose Baltimore. The only reason I didn't choose Baltimore was because they drafted Ty Heap in the first round. And then when I looked at the Jets roster, they only had Anthony Beck, who was a first round pick out of Virginia at the time. And he had only played 1 year prior to me coming in. And then they had James Dirth, who's the number 2 tight end, and he was the backup long snapper, you know. And then they had a number 3 guy who was injured last year and didn't even play at all. So I felt like it would be my best situation after talking to my agent to go to the Jets. So we've chose the Jets, and that's how I was able to stay around for my first 2 years, man. And you know, the transition, Freddie Jones, you was talking about him, kid.
Yeah, was he able to connect? Is he still around?
Yeah, he's still around. He actually just lost a daughter about a week or 2 ago, so I got to go see him.
Oh man, rest in peace.
Sorry.
Rest in peace.
Yeah. So but he, you know, like he's one of the guys I called first and, you know, had conversations with, man. He already knew it. He was like, I knew you was going. I knew you were going to have a shot. He was the first person that ever told me I was good enough to play on Sundays. You know, so I appreciated him for everything that he gave for me and did for us and motivated us to keep us going.
Yeah,
Coach Freddie.
Yeah, tell him he said sorry, and our prayers are with him.
Yeah, rest in peace for sure.
So
rest in peace for sure.
Appreciate you.
Hardest loss I can only imagine.
Yeah, it was. It's definitely tough. It's definitely tough. He's such a church going guy. You know, and he lost a daughter. You know, so anytime you lose a daughter, it's not good. She was the little girl that was always around the whole time, being playing with the water bottles at practice and all that stuff. So
I'm so sorry.
She's part of our family too. Yeah.
Yeah. So speaking of, so I got to ask you, obviously, after winning that Super Bowl with Tampa Bay and spending another year in 2003, did you think to yourself, maybe I could have stayed here throughout your whole career? But take us to that moment where you had to switch teams, but you took off from the NFL for a little bit. You went to the Ryan Fire. Talk about that league and what was that like for you?
So that second year, like that third year I was coming back to Tampa, I was excited about coming back, but I really was miserable because Gruden was my coach and he treated me like crap, right? You know, so I was having to deal with like some random emotions, you know, like trying to get this guy to like me. Like, how do I get this guy? How do I get on this guy's good side? You know, what do I need to do? You know, I worked my butt off. I trained. I worked hard. Athletically, I was there. Mentally, I wasn't there yet. The West Coast offense was probably the hardest offense in the world to learn. And Gruden didn't make it. He didn't make it any better. Like his offense doesn't have any. We call them. You want combination routes. You want things that the rules are always consistent. So if we call this play on this side, it's the same thing as it's going to be on this side. Sometimes it's mirror routes. We call them concepts. That's what I was looking for, concepts. So every offense has concept routes. So you know what a slant flat is, like dragging routes and stuff like that, out with an outside release goal, you know, a corner with a hitch underneath it. You know what these concepts are. His offense broke all the rules. It made no sense. Everything was 100% memorization. There was no concepts. It was like if it was a concept, something else contradicted that concept. So now that play changed. It was such a weird offense to learn and very complicated. But once you got it, you got it. But it was 100% memorization. You just had to remember everything. So it was like learning like Russian or something. If you used to speaking English, so I'm learning Russian. All the stuff is the same stuff. It means the same stuff, but I got to learn Russian, which is probably one of the hardest languages to learn because of the lingo and how they speak and how they pronounce things, you know? So I just came from learning Spanish, which wasn't that hard at all, but it picked up everything, kind of made sense with the English language. But now I got to go learn Russian and nothing sounds the same. And that's how his stuff was. And that second year, it was extremely hard for me because I had to try to remember who I was as a player.
Right.
So what you guys don't probably understand is that you have to be brainwashed to play in the NFL. You have to be brainwashed to play for every single coach. You have to be brainwashed to make it to that level.
Yeah.
And you have to have almost a cult-like mentality to be able to buy all the way into whatever system it is that you're playing in. And I had to buy into his system. I had to believe in his system that it worked, and it was it was the best system out there, and it was going to be the best for me and my family at the time. And it was a very hard transition, just trying to learn his offense. You know, it really was. It was probably one of the hardest things I had to do. But you knew I could learn it because everybody else has learned it too, because they all out there playing it, right?
Mhm.
So it was that hard part of just buckling down and being 100% committed to nothing else but that sport and that game and that moment, that playbook, that everything, every ounce of your day had to pour into that. And that second year, I earned a starting spot on the special teams. And I started the first 2 or 3 games, and then I got cut. I got cut by Temple after the third game. And I remember feeling like after that third game, I was going to get cut. We played the Carolina Panthers, and that was the year the XFL had came out. The year before the XFL that came out, and they had a guy named He Hate Me. I don't know if y'all remember him.
No.
His name, on the back of his jersey in the XFL, it said He Hate Me. And he had got picked up by the Carolina Panthers. He returned the kick for a touchdown on us that year. And I remember I was the only person that had a chance to tackle him. And I dove and I just barely grazed his jersey. And I felt like, dang, I needed stronger fingers to grab this guy and pull him down. But he broke my tackle and he was off to the race. Nobody else even got a finger on the guy. And I feel like, man, I hope they don't get me cut. And I got cut that same week. And I don't know if it was about that play that got me cut, because Joe Jurevicius got hurt. I think Keenan McCardell went down. Keyshawn got kicked off the team. You know, it was so much going on. They needed to bring in more receivers. And you know, I think Pittman had got hurt too. They needed a new running back. Thomas Jones came in that year. You might know Thomas Jones too, Jack, because he played for the Jets for a while.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
One of my favorites.
you know, so I ended up getting released, and they told me don't go nowhere. So they had me sit in a hotel down there for like 2 or 3 weeks, and they just kind of, I was the bubble guy, so it was just kind of pulling me back and forth, you know, like for like 2 or 3 weeks. Hey, don't leave yet. We think we might be bringing you back, you know. So
it's all politics.
It's all a politics game. So it was my first time really experiencing that. I had never been that guy that wasn't good enough, right? So I was at a kind of a little bit of a low at that point, coming off this crazy high with the Super Bowl win, and then getting cut like that next season, and I missed the rest of that season. So that whole season, I didn't get picked up. Then at the end of that season, I called my agent like, bro, I can't wait around no more. Like, what's going on? I need something. I said, sign me up for NFL Europe or something. And he signed me up for, he actually, I got a call from the Miami Dolphins the first week of the playoffs that year. I missed the rest of the season, and then the Dolphins called, and then I went and did a workout with Miami, killed the freaking workout. When I say murdered it, the general manager came up to me, shook my hand, said, congratulations, man. You had a hell of a workout. You're a Miami Dolphin. We're going to put you on the plane, send you back to Atlanta. We're going to get the contract over to your agent, have you sign everything up. I'm like, awesome, great.
Oh, man.
A month went by, no contract. My agent don't know what's going on. I'm trying to figure out what the hell going on. The dude shook my hand, looked me in my eye, told me, congratulations, I'm a Dolphin. Next thing you know, no contract comes. My agent signs me up for NFL Europe. That's how I ended up with the Ryan Fire. I got drafted in the free agent draft with the Ryan Fire in NFL Europe. So I went back and had to go right back to Tampa. That's how crazy it was. Training camp was in Tampa. So we went back to Tampa, had training camp down in Tampa. Went through 4 preseason games with the NFL Europe. I won a starting job. They took me to Germany with them. So I went over there to play, and I was the starting tight end over there for, I think we played 10 games over there. So I played 4 preseason, 10 games. Then as soon as I got back in June, I signed with the Ravens, and then I played another 16-game season. We went deep into the playoffs that year. Wow. So I played football from basically January to January that year.
Wow. And now you're learning German.
Yep. I had to learn how to say alles klar, let's go. Alles klar.
There you go.
I love it. Daniel, let me ask you this. Yes. After you learn, like, you're training your brain to learn the coding of the plays and just, you know, totally do what this play that is created by someone else, but you've got to learn it. You've got to trust it. Is there a reward in the ability to succeed at that?
Absolutely.
You know, no matter what happened. I mean, that's got to be awesome that you're like, okay, I did it. Here we go. That was hard.
Absolutely.
Then you can just shine and be yourself.
Since you're throwing me this alley-oop on this question right now, Kia, I'm gonna go ahead and tell you how I really feel about that whole NFL thing. Like I was really in a weird situation because I played like 9 seasons in the NFL. Every single year I had a different OC. So every year I had to learn a new foreign language. So
Wow.
I was never able to learn a language consistently and just evolve into that language and stay with that language. Every single year I had a new OC. So it was such a crazy experience. For 9 seasons, I never had a consistent offensive coordinator and learned one offense. So if I just started to learn Spanish, then I started to learn French. Then I
Right.
started to learn Russian.
Wow.
You know, then I started to learn patois. You know, like you know, it was always something different. You know what I mean? Like it was
Yeah.
never the same. So I felt like I was never able to get kind of settled in through my entire NFL career. And in my 9 seasons, I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I think 5 head coaches in my 9 seasons. You know, so and I played my last 5 in Baltimore with the Ravens.
Right.
And I
Right.
had Billick for 4 years as a head coach, and then I had Harbaugh for 1 his rookie year as a head coach. And he brought in Cam Cameron with him. And my 4 years with Billick, we had a new OC every single year.
Wow.
You know, so it was
Wow.
pretty crazy. It's pretty
So
crazy.
that makes you the sharpest diamond.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I felt like it made me the dullest diamond.
Oh no.
Yeah, because you never got comfortable. It's like
I understand.
and the best way to me to express like what I went through is kind of like using the relationship type thing, right? Because life is all about relationships.
Mhm.
Right.
You know, so it's like having a new girlfriend every year.
Mhm.
Imagine how that makes you feel. Like having a new boyfriend every year. You know how you get comfortable with your boyfriend and you start to get to know him a little bit, Kia, and then all of a sudden it's over. It's abrupt. I'm done. I just can't do it no more. It's not you, it's me. You know what I'm saying? And it's over. So that's how it is. Like the NFL is like very bad relationships, or they could be really good relationships if you get a chance to go somewhere and stay for a long time.
Yeah.
You know, so it's such a weird experience, man. And it was such a great, dope experience for me because being an undrafted guy, you know, being able to play 9 seasons is a whirlwind all on its own, and it's a blessing all on its own, man. So it was really, really fun. I enjoyed it, but it seemed like it was always so busy. You never had a chance to get to say like, you know,
Yeah.
Right.
I was always ripping and running. I was packing my bags up, leaving from one place to the next. And then when I got to Baltimore, they gave me the 3-year deal. I was like, God, thank you. Finally, some consistent.
Right.
Finally,
Yeah.
a girlfriend that gonna love me for the long term, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So I got 5 years out of Baltimore. She was my best girl.
Man.
Aw.
So
she was my best girl.
This is
I see it as leadership too. It's like
Yeah.
you've graced a large community with
Yeah.
your knowledge, with your inspiration, with getting everybody psyched up. And like Coach Freddie said, he's going to bring the guys on the field and the camaraderie, and then it's time to grab your bags and do it somewhere else. I see that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's a
this,
win.
I was gonna say this episode is like The Bachelor, the whole season of Bachelor right here. This episode.
Absolutely, Nathan. I'm telling you right now, that's it, bro. It's like The Bachelor. That's exactly how you
This
feel.
is fun. This is a fun January.
And
1st
that's how
January.
Love
that's a really good example too, Nathan, because I'm telling you, it's all about relationships, right? So if you're the
Right.
bachelor, you're the player that every team wants, and all the girls are all the teams, right?
Community. Yeah.
That's kind of how it is. It's kind of the exact same thing. All these girls, you're entertaining all of them, trying to figure out which one is going to be your best fit. And then when one picks you, when you're with that one, you give them that one that you're all. They feel like you're the only one. They're the only one. And then you have to go to the next team when it goes, and you have to go with no regret. You have to go and be like, all right, I'm finna pour my all into this girl now. You know, and that's how it is. I always correlate football as being the girl that I fell in love with at an early age.
But we're not going on Love Island though. We're not going to promote that one.
No, definitely not. Definitely not.
So I mean, you spent.
Love it.
Yeah. So you've been with the Ravens and stuff, but you have a podcast now called Ravens with
Believe in the
Smolka.
Ravens. It's called Believe in the Ravens. Yep. It's on the Believe
on
network.
the network.
The Believe network. Yep.
How did that how that came about, and how that get started? And do you like podcasting and stuff?
That's awesome.
I love podcasting, man. So when I was in Baltimore playing, I actually got a chance to have my own TV show, my own radio show stuff when I was there as a player, and my own weekly blog with the team.
Wow.
And so all that stuff kind of carried over when I retired. And when I got a chance, the Believe Network actually called me and said, hey, man, we want to do a Ravens podcast. We want you to be our guy. And I was like, I would love to do it. I said, I would need a co-host. I would need a coach to do it with. And then Bo is a reporter up in Baltimore, and he's actually in the Ravens locker room every day at practice. So he's kind of like that inside eye for me, you know, sometimes. And it's really cool, man. It's been a great experience so far. We've been doing it now. This is going on our 2nd year doing it. And hopefully this will be year 3 will be next season. So, But I mean, we're starting to pick up a couple of sponsors and stuff like that. And I really like the process of just being able to look at it. Sometimes I get frustrated. I'm human. I'm a fan too sometimes. And I've never been a true fan, like where I go to all the games and stuff. My first NFL game I ever went to, I was playing in with the Jets.
Yeah.
So when I got to Baltimore and I got that experience of coming out the tunnel as a starter for the first time at M&T Bank, it's something that I will never forget. I even got married on that field on the 50-yard line with my wife.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On E. It was on E, right?
Yeah, it was on what was it? Freaking what network was it? I can't remember what network it is now. It was called Whose Wedding Was It Anyway?
Yeah.
And it was on the Style Network. The Style Network.
Okay.
Yeah, it was on the Style Network.
How was that experience?
We was almost on E because they called us back as well. We put out 2 submissions. She wanted to do Platinum Weddings, and then Whose Wedding Was It Anyway was a second choice. Whose Wedding Was It Anyway called us first, and then we had already committed to going with them because we didn't know we was going to hear back from Platinum Weddings. And then they called us about maybe 3 weeks after we had already committed to Whose Wedding Was It Anyway. So we just stuck with the first one. Wow. But that's the one she really wanted to be on, was Platinum Weddings. It was a cool experience, man. It didn't feel like we got married on the field. Most people like, man, we didn't know where we were. It felt like we was on the beach or something. It was really cool. But the nostalgia of being able to start playing a sport at the age of 5 and then falling in love with somebody, and that football for me has always been my true first love besides my mom, right?
Yeah.
So then when you get married, of course you leave your mom to go to your wife, and that transition of football and us getting married on the thing that I love most in my life at that time was a pretty memorable thing for me. And the fact that my wife was cool enough to be like, yeah, babe, let's do it on the football field. That was
yay.
Let's go.
Kind of dope.
I'm so emotional. I love it. I can hear Whitney in the distance.
Okay.
I love it. Okay, I won't do an impression. We'll save it for Daniel.
Okay.
That's amazing. I love that story.
Yeah, so
and the fact that was your first time being in an arena. You know what I mean? Wow.
Yeah.
See, the episode for you,
special.
that was called They Lived Happy Ever After. That was the episode.
Yep, happily ever after. Yep. That's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah,
it was really cool, man.
Mm-hmm.
It was really cool, guys. Thanks.
No problem. Yeah, that's a great wedding story right there for everyone. Whoever's tuning in right now, fans, that's a great way to get married too.
Daniel, with your blessing of being on many different teams, what has been your key to personal balance and peace?
That's a great question, Kid. So if I had to say what's been my balance and peace while I was playing, it was the fact that I knew I was able to kind of take care of my family, I think, back home. It was kind of like my why, being able to do things for my mom, being able to buy my mom a house, being able to make sure that she was taken care of from time to time and doing little things, and being able to have the finances to be able to say yes to everyone, when they call. I think that kind of balanced things out, even though it, towards the end, it kind of started to frustrate you. It started to annoy you some. At first, I'm a giver by nature. If I got it, you got it.
It's a love language. Yeah.
Yeah. If I got it, you got it. So it felt good to be able to give people things and do things for them. So when I got to Baltimore, I knew that by that time, I started to grow up a little bit. I matured a little bit more, and I started my own nonprofit foundation, and I started doing stuff in the community all the time. I mean, I was doing stuff every single week in the community, and
That's amazing.
I volunteered with the Ravens all the time to join their foundational stuff as well with the team. So I wanted to kind of pour as much as myself into the community while I was playing at that time. I felt like I flourished immediately when I got to Baltimore. By that time, I had kind of figured out, all right, I belong here, like I'm supposed to be in the NFL.
Yeah.
And when I got to Baltimore, I'm talking about skyrocketed, took off first practice, balling, second practice, balling, every practice, balling. Like they was like, who the heck is this guy?
Balling.
Really, I remember Ray Lewis coming up to me, man, you number 44. I was like, yeah. He's like, bro, I like your game. Keep doing it. And that was a big difference from being in Tampa, where like Warren Sapp come in and he's like, who's the new guy? And I'm like, Wilcox, how you doing? I'm trying to shake his hand, and then he won't shake my hand, like asshole type.
Warren, he wouldn't?
No, he wouldn't shake my hand, So that was like, That was that was one experience with the star on the team from another experience with the star on the team. You know, so Ray embraced me after. He's like, keep doing what you're doing, bro. I like your game. I really like your game. So from somebody like Ray Lewis to say that to me,
Yeah, it's huge.
well, I'm in there. Let's go. And then that same year we signed Deion Sanders. You know, I'm from Atlanta. You know, prime time. He grew. You know, this is what he became prime time at for real, for real. I mean, I know it started in high school for him.
Yeah.
But for the world, it started in Atlanta. You know, so you know, we all grew up watching prime, and then him coming out of retirement and being able to play 2 years with us was phenomenal.
Wow,
man,
that's amazing. In COVID, my kids were like perfecting their prime time impressions. Sorry.
There you go.
Come on, baby. Come on, baby.
I love it. I love it. So Daniel, what's your must-see TV right now in the NFL? Like, who's that guy must-see TV for you?
Somebody like as far as a player is concerned?
Yeah, player, any position.
The one you got hanging on your wall right now, that kid is special. Sauce Gardner.
Love that.
Sauce Gardner. He got a name. He's New York. He got New York written all over him. Like, people don't realize.
I even got Italy Jet. I even did the thing right there.
I love it.
Nice.
I mean, you all the way in. When you do that, you're all the way in. You know what I mean? But people don't realize Italy, like how hard it is to play for New York. Like, it's such a hard city to play for. Like New York Jets and Giants, it's so hard. Like they're the media capital of the world, and the pressure is constantly on. You do anything wrong, the whole world knows.
Oh yeah.
Anything wrong, you do anything good, the whole world knows. You know, so you got to be extremely careful, man. And I remember Herm Edwards used to always say, man, there's perception and then there's reality, guys. He used to be in front of me. He's like, hey guys, there's perception and then there's reality. All right. You need to know, but people perceive you this way, and then there's reality of who you really are. You know, he used to always talk like that in every single meeting, man. It was such a phenomenal experience, you know, getting my cherry popped in New York, because New York was the cherry popping city for me. And it kind of made everything else. It kind of made everything else be like, okay, I can handle this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Wait, were you there in 2003 or 1?
I got to New York in 2001, and I left in 2002. I played a whole season in 2001,
right?
And I came back for the whole season in 2002, and towards the end of that season, I left and went to Tampa.
So you were there for 9/11?
9/11 was my first week on the team.
Oh my god!
Oh my gosh! So I was there too. Like,
I was on the treadmill watching it live, going to the building. You can see the smoke from Long Island, from Hofstra University.
Oh my god!
Wow!
Yeah, you can see the smoke from the building. We walked outside on the practice field. You could see the smoke coming from the Twin Towers. It's crazy.
Oh my god!
I think I was in school at that time. When it happened, I was in school, and our teachers stopped their lesson, if I remember, and then put the TVs on for us, because it was this crazy situation. And my dad's friend was in that building, and he didn't make it out. So every time, my dad used to hear that name. Harry. His name was Harry Glenn. So my dad's close friend. So.
Well, I remember that was our day off.
New York.
It was our day off that day. I think it was a Tuesday, if I remember correctly. I think it was our mandatory day off. I was in the gym, in the Jets facility on the treadmill, you know, looking at our practice field out the window. And the secretary from the Jets came in and said, oh my God, turn the TV to CNN right now. So they turned all the TVs above the treadmills to CNN. And the first plane had already hit. And then the second plane, I watched the second one. I said, is that another one just hit? Like, was that another plane? Like, I'm watching it live, and I see the second plane go right into the building. And I'm in shock. Like, it looked like something off a movie, man. And then, of course, with us being New York Jets, they actually came to us, because I don't know if you guys remember or not, but that was the only time, I think, in the history of the NFL where they canceled every game. You know?
Yeah, Mike Westhoff was saying something about that. We've had Mike Westhoff on my podcast a couple of times, and he just said we were like one of the first teams that canceled.
Yeah. We was the decision making. Yeah, Mike Westhoff, that's my guy. That's my special teams coach.
Yeah, he's one of my favorite people.
I love Mike. I'm telling you right now, Mike set the tone for me for special teams for my whole career. I want to be a special teams coach because of him. But anyway, Mike was one of the dopest coaches I think I've ever had. He was such a Italian, like, just hard, like straight, hey, forget about it type guy. You know what I mean? Like, hey, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, hey, Danny, you do what I asked you to fucking do, or you go home. You just go home. It's simple. I'm not going to yell at you. I'm not going to curse you out and do all that stuff. You do it my way, or you go home. He's that guy. But he's
in your face a lot.
I coached the exact same way he coached me when I talked to my kids. Like, look, man, you can either do what I tell you to do, or you can just find you somewhere else to play. Real simple, you know. But I remember that, you know, being in New York was such a pivotal time at that point. I remember them coming in, sitting in the team meeting room, and Herm was kind of expressing to us like, hey, they basically leaving this whole thing up to us. Because that week we were supposed to fly out to Oakland to play the Raiders that week.
Right.
And nobody wanted to get on the plane. Like, none of our guys wanted to get on the plane. Guys were scared. Guys felt like it was like, and I think a lot of guys kind of felt like it was a disservice to the city and the people that just passed away and the families that was affected, you know. So he asked us literally in the team meeting, the whole team, we wrote on a piece of paper, yeah, no, yay, nay, put them all in the hat. And then while they tallied up all the yeses and nos, and it was almost 100% no's. And we was the deciding factor. Once we canceled, it was a ripple effect. The whole league canceled. You know, so we was the first ones to kind of say, nah, we're not doing it. We're not flying to Oakland. We canceling the game. We made a decision to, you know, to spend time with our families and stuff like that. And then we also went down to New York, down to the city to help the firemen, to help the families, to help feed the families, to help try to boost morale a little bit, to help, you know, anything they needed, to help anything moved. We did anything we could to help out.
Wow. Well, we appreciate you.
Yeah,
I was there. I gave out stuff to the volunteers and to the firemen. And a friend of mine, her husband was the head fire chief from New Jersey, and he passed a year after. But I appreciate you being there. And I also appreciate the sports, because it was the football. Once the football came back, and then the Yankees, that just brought our heart back to the city. So, you know, I lived there at that time, and it was very hard to go through. And I saw it. I was in the street, and the first plane had hit, and another one came. We just had a fashion show the night before, and I was standing there in the middle of the street, and I was like, we're not going to go into Grand Central Station right now. We're not going in.
It's crazy.
Right.
So crazy.
And it's just, but it was the people coming together. It's one of those moments that I think about so often, because the world needs unity. And it during that time is like everybody came together. New York was like this.
Oh, it was so like this. Everything
really
was.
And I want the whole world to be like that now. That it shouldn't take a huge tragedy.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%, Q. I agree with you 100%.
So thank you for being that light.
No doubt. Thank you guys too.
Yeah, speaking of Mike West of Italy, we actually had him on this show too. And he's this guy is like one of the best coaches in my opinion, special teams coaches, in my opinion,
hands down.
In my opinion, and this is
hands
like
down.
He's the GOAT. And Daniel, obviously you're learning from a lot of great coaches. But before we get to the coaches, I want to ask you about another inspiring story that happened recently with Tampa Bay Buccaneers backup quarterback Blaine Gabbert. He saved 4 people from a helicopter crash. Can you talk about that? Yeah, that's a great story. Yeah.
I haven't heard anything about that. That's my first time hearing it. No.
Wow. So Buccaneers backup quarterback Blaine Gabbert recently saved. He was right time, right place. He was in some raft with his friends, strolling around during off day, and then apparently this helicopter lost control and then it ran out of gas or something, and came into the water. And Blaine Gabbert and his friends saw it, so he was able to go there just in time to save these 4 people. It was all over the news. And
oh wow.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. So now he's like a hometown hero.
St. Louis boy.
Yeah,
I know that's right.
Yeah, so can you talk about, like, if you didn't, like, let me do it in a different perspective. Can you talk about like athletes or former athletes, like stories like this? What does that mean to you guys, like coming as athletes?
I mean, I think for us, like I was in a situation when we was in App State, when I was playing ball at App State. We kind of had the same thing. It was a drunk driver that hit one of our medical buses, right? You know, you have the little vans and stuff with all the equipment guys in it, or the people that does all the treatment and therapy. You know, they was in the van and got hit by a drunk driver. The drunk driver died instantly on the scene, caught fire, and then we had to jump out to try to help and save our people to get them out of the bus. And all of our guys survived, even though they had extensive injuries. You know, they all of our guys made it, by the grace of God. But the drunk driver did not make it. It was one of my first experiences seeing this very traumatic time for us at the time. And I think those moments, you know, say a lot about the character of who players are that play in the NFL. And the crazy thing is, like, there's a lot of us that if we wasn't if we didn't have the athletic ability to play, there's no telling, where we would be. But when you get loved and you get showered with affection, you got any flower can grow, and it's like, I would love to be a flower my entire life if you allow me to be, but unfortunately sometimes we get put in situations where we don't get a chance to be those flowers, so when you see a guy like Gabriel or whatever doing exactly what you just said he did, see a helicopter crash and willing to put his own life on the line to go help somebody else, I think that's miraculous. I think that's what this world should be more about. Just like Kiel was just saying, like when 9/11 happened, we came closer together and we all was family. It didn't matter what color you were, what race you were, everybody was affected from 9/11. Like a bomb don't care who it hits, whether it's kids or adults or parents, it don't matter, old people, young people, we don't care. So at those moments, when you see a guy do those things, I think that's kind of the cloth that we're cut from. You can't get to where we are in life, playing in the NFL with not being cut from that cloth. You have to be kind of cut from that cloth to be able to put up with all the BS that you put up with to be a football player, to be able to be brainwashed enough to go be a elite guy, one of the elite athletes in the world. Yeah. And I equate the NFL to the Olympics. Like when people go play in the Olympics, they're the best athlete in the world. There's no Olympics for football. So this is the Olympics for us. The NFL is the Olympics for us. So when I look at us, I feel like we're the Navy SEALs of football. We're the special op guys of football, not of the world, but of football, of that sport. If you made it to the NFL, you're the elite of the elite of the elite.
Absolutely.
Of the elite, so we should be kind of cut from that cloth where we willing to help somebody and put our lives on the line, because we put our lives on the line every day when we go play.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah, every day when we go play, we put our lives on the line.
Head injuries alone. I mean, geez.
Oh yeah. Once you get one, it's like just like Tua right now. It's not great.
Yeah.
So what gives you peace since you're retired? You're doing the Ravens podcast and you have a great family. You're Christian faith. I'm a Christian as well. What gives you peace now?
It's definitely the kids, man. That's a great question, man. Thank you for asking. I have two sons. I have a 17-year-old and I have a 12-year-old. Tristan is my 17 and Julian is my 12-year-old. And they're both so unique, man. When I tell you what, man, you have these kids, and my oldest son was from a young lady that I talked to a little bit back when I was playing ball. And then I met my wife at the end of my playing career and we got married and we had Julian the way it's supposed to be done. I was really disappointed when I had my first kid because I felt like it was out of character for me to put myself in that situation, but I got a blessing from it, and I try to embrace him as much as I possibly can. He finally decided to come move with his dad last summer. So I've had him now for about a year and a little bit over a year maybe. And he's starting to really blossom into an awesome kid. He was an awesome kid anyway when he came in, but he's a little rough around the edges, right? But being able to polish these kids, man, and being able to pour so much of yourself into them and to see how they absorb it and how they take it and then how they take it and run with it is probably my piece. My oldest son is an athlete, anything with a ball, he's got it naturally like me. And then my youngest kid, he has all my creative juices, right? He's very artistic. I could draw. I'm an artist. I can draw stuff. I do all types of stuff like that. Oh, wow. He's playing the piano. He's playing the drums. He's playing the tuba. He's going to start making his own beats and stuff, soon. And you just kind of see how quirky they are, man. They little differences about them that kind of make them unique. And just knowing that these two guys came out of me and they're developing into, their own men. It's such an awesome experience. I've been mentoring kids and players and grown men for a long time. And just knowing that I got two sons, man, that are just going to develop one day, hopefully to be two of the best men on this earth, it's a pretty awesome thing. I think they're really my peace. They're the reason why I get up every day and I don't sleep in late and I'm always up. I'm always doing something, I'm always busy. Like I know Nathan reached out to me probably 6, 7, 10, 15, 20, 30 times for this interview. And I wasn't ignoring them. But I'm just always doing something with these kids, man. I'm always busy. We took them to the DR for the holidays. So we was gone for 7 days in the Dominican Republic. And they had a phenomenal. My oldest son had never been out of the country before. My young kid, he's so freaking spoiled. He's been everywhere with us. But
it was some of them were me, but most of them were my other coworkers that were trying to reach out.
I'm so glad that Tristan and Julian can be together,
Me too.
like share
Me
that
too.
space. That's awesome. And just
I've
that
been-
brotherhood is
I've
so
been fighting
awesome.
for it from day one. I've been fighting
I'm
for
so
it, man.
happy.
So yeah, so he finally came around and said, "All right, Dad, I think this is the best move for me to make." I said, "I've been trying to tell you to make that move for freaking 17 years, kid. So, let's go, man." He's here now, so I'm thankful. I'm very thankful, and I'm praying to God that this next year, he got one more year of high school after this season, and I'm praying that those are the years that really make the biggest difference for that kid.
That's amazing. So,
say what, Nathan?
Is he gonna play college football?
I think he's gonna be a baseball guy.
Oh,
he might be a Yankee one day. So
let's
go.
go.
He might mess around and be a Yankee. He he's a huge baseball kid. He's about 6'4", about 210 right now.
Aaron Judge.
And, yeah, he's really talented. Huge baseball IQ. Played football again for the first time in about 10 years this year. And he played quarterback, receiver, tight end, and running back. He's played more running back than anything this year. And you see 6'4", 210. It's a big running back.
Wow.
But he's not fast enough to be a true running back. That's not his gift. I think he has hands that are phenomenal. So I think he could definitely be a tight end on the NFL level. If baseball don't work out for him, I would definitely be pushing him to go chase football and see where it takes him.
Daniel, you've been through so much. You've come so far, learned so many languages. What's advice that you would give or you do give to the youth as they're coming and learning to be themselves?
Believe in themselves. I think if anything, don't let nobody tell you what you can't do, because I can't tell you how many people, would have never probably guessed I'd have made it to the NFL. And I outlasted my entire draft class almost, so even though I didn't get drafted, I still outlasted most of my draft class, 90% of them, and I would just tell people all the time, man, chase your dreams, don't get so caught up into being brainwashed. Because this world and this society, our school systems, every freaking thing brainwashes you. And like I was telling you, to be an NFL player, you got to kind of be cult-like. You got to be kind of brainwashed to be able to buy into it. You play through injury. It's not the smartest thing in the world to do, but we play through it anyway because we're brainwashed. We know, and we feel the pressure. Even if you don't pressure us, we feel that pressure because people want to see us on that field. And we want to see ourselves there more than they do. So we get pressured to do things all the time that we don't want to do. And for my first 2 or 3 years in NFL, I was so brainwashed that I kind of forgot who I was as a player. I played special teams for the first 3 years because they said, if you're going to make this team, you're going to make it on special teams. Focus on special teams, focus on special teams, focus on special teams. And you don't have to tell us things, more than once because we train. Even when I train my son to this day, we train. I don't want to tell you something more than once. No coach want to tell you something over and over and over again. I'm going to show you how to do this drill. I want you to pay attention. I want you to be dialed in, zoomed in, focused the entire workout so that you're your best. I want you to be the guy in the front of the line when the coach tell you to do a drill so you know how to do it. You know how to lead these other guys. You need to be the leader. You're not the follower. Don't be in the back of the line, standing back there, not paying attention, talking to somebody, joking around. You have to be focused. And NFL, what makes you an NFL player is nothing less than consistency and character. You have to be consistent. The same thing that make you guys great at your jobs, on the jobs that you guys do, is you're consistent. The guy that's the most consistent, or the female that's most consistent, is the one that goes to the top. And now consistency doesn't mean you're great, but if you do things on a high level consistently, you're going to be the best at it. And that's the key. How can I get you to do things with a sense of urgency at a high level, and then be consistent with doing it on a high level and consistency, and a sense of urgency.
Love it. Love it.
That's great. That's great advice.
I love it. And that's what, with my kids, I try to only say, we're at once. I'm telling you now, look me in the eye. We get to 2, it's no good.
That's how you get,
forget about it. Forget about
it. I know that's right. That's how you get cut in the NFL.
I'll say 1. And if I get to 2,
2,
like,
that's a problem.
Game
over.
But that's how you get cut in the NFL right there. That's how you get cut. You make mistakes, you get cut.
Don't get cut, kids. Don't get cut.
They don't have time. They don't have time for your mistakes. They don't have time for you not, giving it your 100%, not giving it your all. So the kid that doesn't get it the first time, they be like, nah, he not it. They ain't got time to waste on you. So it's like, you have to learn that the world don't love you like your parents do.
And do you tell the kid, that's so true. Do you tell the kids, what I thought was so powerful after we, first started this or Nathan started, but after we started doing a couple interviews, I learned the difference between getting signed and activated was huge. So do you ever talk to the kids about that? Like, just because you're here doesn't mean you're playing. You got to be ready, and you got to be like ready.
That's a key point that I always use, Kill, because it's like you could be on a team and you could feel like I made the team, but you're number 2, you're number 3, or you're number 4 on the depth chart. And every day you can get cut, even if you're the starter.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things that you don't really know because you've played this sport. Once you're the starter, you got to come take my spot. You're not going to ever get this spot because you've been doing that your whole life, from little league to middle school to high school to JUCO to college, to the pros or semi-pro, whatever you're playing. If you're the starter, you're that dude. And in the NFL, if you're the starter, you got your jersey in the store. You're a star.
You're a starter.
It's in your back pocket. It's in your back pocket.
Yeah, but you can get cut that same day. Do something conduct detrimental to the team, and your ass will be gone. So it's like, and all it takes is one play for the starter to get hurt. That one play is less than 3 seconds. Most of the time that play don't even last 3 to 4 seconds. So it's like one play, he can go down, and now you're up. If you're not prepared, that next guy behind you is up. You know what I'm saying? So you have to figure it out so quick that you are a starter. Even if you're the number 2 guy, you're a starter. If you're the number 3 guy, you're a starter. You're never a backup in the NFL. Just because you don't get to play week 1, don't mean you're not the starter on that team. If you're the 3rd screen guy, you're a starter. If you're the 4th screen guy, you're a starter. And you have to have that mindset. And it takes most of us, guys like myself, that was a 3-4 year guy. It took me that was an undrafted free agent. It took me 3 or 4 years to get that. Luckily, I was athletic enough and talented enough and skilled enough, and I had enough size, and I was an in-between guy that could play multiple positions. I was a utility guy with all my 9 seasons, that I hung around long enough for me to figure that out. The coaches already knew, but I hung around just long enough for me to figure it out, and then that's when I took off.
Wow.
Yeah, and what you said also about like the social side. If you're a starter and then you slip up on a play socially and your personal standard drops down to here. I mean, we were just talking about it with the Yankees catcher. I mean, standard is everything. So you got to represent off the field.
Yes.
On and off.
You're out. Your start just went to.
Everybody's a part of that franchise, and everything you do represents that franchise. Just like I tell you, it's about relationships, right? When your wife go out,
connections.
If she look like crap when she goes out, she's representing you. So if she got a bad attitude when she goes out, she's representing you. And that's how it is with that team. You're representing that team. Everything you do represents that franchise, that organization. So when I go outside, I have to be presentable. When I go talk to people, I have to be presentable. When I speak to people, I have to be intelligent, because this is somebody, a billionaire, that's investing, millions of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars into you as a person, as a player. So he wants you to represent his organization the best way that you possibly can. Every dumb thing you do is dumb for him as well. And he's not a dumb guy. He's a billionaire. You don't be a billionaire by chance. You don't just trip up and stumble, hit your head and become a billionaire. You become a billionaire because you're sharp, you're smart, you got a lot of consistency in your world, and you understand the importance of what it takes to get to the top. And you're hungry. You're more hungry than the average person, and like they always say, you rest when you die. Most billionaires, that's the mindset they had to get to where they at. They stayed up at late nights, every night, 4-5 days straight. They didn't get no sleep. And they figured it out while everybody else was sleeping, they were still working. And that's what you got to do to be a pro. You got to be that guy.
Absolutely. Billionaires cut losses and liabilities like before they can even think it.
Absolutely.
Right.
Bill Gates is a great example of that. So
yeah.
Oh, for sure.
But
Daniel, sorry.
Oh, you go ahead. You go ahead.
What was so you mentioned a lot about it in your career about being ready and stuff. What was your game day routine? Going through your walkthroughs all week and then getting to that game on Sunday. What was your walkthrough like?
So I think for me, like every single week, I wanted to kind of do some sort of rehab. And when you do rehab, you want to try to do maintenance. We call it like body maintenance. We want to do maintenance on our body to take care of our body so that we don't end up on the side of the road where we can't go no more. And I look at our bodies like high performance vehicles. Like we're not a Toyota. We're not a, Hyundai, we're elite body types. We're Ferraris, we're Lamborghinis, we're Lamborghini SUVs, we got high performance vehicles.
I love it.
Exactly. So to play on a high level the way we do and to put our bodies through as much punishment as we do, we have to treat our bodies like it's that high performance car.
Yeah.
You keep that car clean because you paid freaking $200,000 for it. You know, that car's never dirty. You know, you're not riding around like it's a Ford F-150 where it got mud all over it, splattered all over it, like my truck look outside right now. You know what I'm saying? So you every time you see a Lamborghini, it's always clean. You know, it's always vacuumed out on the inside. It smells good when you get in it because it's your car that you take out when you want to look really, really great.
Yep.
So you always want to look great. You know, Dion tell you what, you look good, you feel good, you play good, they pay good. That's Dion's thing, right? He always say that. And that's how you got to treat it. You know, every week, I went through my routine pretty much the same. I got up very early every morning, like 5:30, 6 o'clock. I'm in the gym by 6.
Wow.
I'm done lifting by 7. I'm eating breakfast by 7 o'clock. I'm in meetings by 8, you know, every single day. And then that day is always a long day. When I'm done with that practice, I try to watch some form of film every day if I could. If I couldn't, I went home and tried to watch it at home. And a lot of times when I get home, I knew I wasn't gonna watch it, so I tried to watch it in the office or you know at the facilities. And you try to find ways to stay around the facility as long as you can, you know. So as the week goes on, I feel like you get beat up and kind of sore like in the middle of the week because those are your 2 hardest practices on Wednesdays and Thursdays.
Wow.
You know, so Monday is usually like a recovery day from the game from Sunday night, right?
Right.
And then Tuesday is mandatory day off. I spent that day in the community doing something in the community. Wednesday was our longest day, our hardest practice. Thursday was our longest day, our hardest practice. You put in goal line, short yardage on Thursdays. So you're hitting, you got pads on that day. Wednesday, you're doing your whole install for the offense that week. And then Friday is kind of like a refresher day where you go over everything. You know, you go over everything that you put in, you kind of rerun everything. It's a full game type script where you're kind of reenacting the game, situational plays, all that type of stuff. And then Saturday is like your walkthrough day. But even our walkthrough day is like a full speed day, you know. So you don't even walkthroughs are full speed. So just because you don't have on, you know, pads, we're still doing everything like it's a real game. My mechanics has to be the same. My steps has to be the same. My pad level has to be the same. My hand placement has to be the same. I want to run my routes the same speed. I want to get to the depth that I'm supposed to get to on every single route. You know, everything is so mechanical. And it's that consistency thing we was talking about earlier. You know, you want to keep it consistent. I don't want to pretend to go slow on this. I want to go full speed. When I punch off the line of scrimmage, I'm giving you everything I got for that first 2 steps, and then I let off. You know, and then we travel on Saturdays as well. So if it's a away game, we'll do that practice in the morning, then we'll get showered up and we'll get our stuff, our bags, head to the airport, travel to where we're gonna go, get to the hotel. We got meetings that night. And then when we got meetings that night, I usually try to, you know, really calm my brain down, you know, that night before. So I'll usually listen to like softer music or stuff like that night before I go to bed, you know, to kind of calm my brain down. I'll refresh myself by looking at my playbook even more.
Wow.
A lot of people feel like if you still looking at your playbook the day of the game, you don't know it. But I used to look at mine the day of the game every day. You know, I look at that morning just to make sure I ain't miss something, I ain't forget something. I just want to make sure I'm on top of that stuff. So I wake up that next morning early, just like it was a normal, you know, lift day. Even if I don't lift the day of the game on Sundays, I still get up Sunday morning at 6 or 5:30, just like I would all week because I want my body clock to stay the same.
Yeah.
You know, and it's different when you play those night games, like those Monday nights games. You want to kind of sleep in a little bit later. So you stay up a little bit later that night, so you can sleep a little bit later, so you still get the same amount of hours of sleep and still feel like you're getting up early. You got to play tricks with your body sometimes.
Right.
Then I still try to get a little bit of therapy that morning, the day before the game, a little bit of treatment if I got time, and I'll go over my plays the entire time while I'm getting treatment. If I'm not getting treatment on my upper body, I can hold that book. I'll get in the hot tub and cold tub before the game and do a hot cold contrast, and then I'll do a pregame warm up like it's a real game. I'll go out and I'll run around, run routes, catch balls, you know, get a little warm up in, a little stretch in, and then I'll do real routes and stuff with a QB, and I'll run real game routes. I'll never run any plays that we run in the game, but I'll call out those 10 route tree routes, you know. And I start off with your now route, then your hitch route, then your quick outs, then your slants. You know, I'm in and out every route, you know, then your deep outs, your curl routes, your comebacks, your posts, your corners, your go routes. I run them all, you know, and then I'll go in, you know, I got a good sweat going, good lather going, like I just had played the whole game already. Go back in, wipe off, dry off, take another quick shower, jump in the hot tub one more time, and it's time to go. It's go time.
That sounds like a song.
I love that.
I loved it.
Yeah.
I love that.
It's go time. It's a long week, man. And we do that every week. We do that every week for 17 weeks, and we get a bye week every now and then. That kind of breaks up the monotony, but for the most part, it's a consistent, it stays the exact same. Every now and then you get thrown a bone if you're a good team and you win a lot of games. that you'll get victory Monday, then you'll have to come in and Monday at all. So you get Monday and Tuesday off. But I always spent my Tuesday, trying to give back to the community, going to speak to some kids at a high school or going to elementary school and reading books to kids, or going to like a homeless shelter to feed the homeless, or going to a hospital to, to see some kids that are sick, or going to an old folks home to hang out with some old people, or, whatever's going on. I did Habitat for Humanity sometimes, build houses for people, single women, single women with kids, stuff like that, man. The stuff that affected me as a kid, I wanted to make sure it didn't affect other kids if I could help out.
Appreciate what you do, man.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Appreciate you. That's amazing.
Speaking of Habitat for Humanity, I used to meet my friends when Hurricane Katrina happened in New Orleans. Me and my friends, they called us to help them out with the Habitat for Humanity. So we had the opportunity to go there for a week, spend 2 weeks in New Orleans, and we helped out rebuild the storage centers and the houses, and replant the plants that died out from the hurricane, and that from that day on, that me and my friends learned a lot from that day. And from that day on, I've been doing a lot of community service, and every Thanksgiving me and my friends help out the homeless people, like what you're doing. We help them out, and then we're also part of a foundation now with the Hugh Jackson Foundation. I'm sure you know him, former NFL coach.
Yeah, he coached me in Baltimore.
Yeah, we're trying to help him prevent human trafficking. So ever since that helping out Hurricane Katrina, we've been doing a lot of community work. So that's a big thing in life.
Yeah, Grant, Hugh Jackson, he was our quarterback coach when Cam Cameron came in my last year in Baltimore. So he's the head coach down at Grambling State now. I actually just did a coat for him. I got a guy that we do custom coats and stuff, like Letterman jackets. So if you guys ever need some dope coats, give me a call. I got the plug for you. But we did a coat for Hugh Jackson, and he was. I still talk to Hugh from time to time, man. He is down in New Orleans and down in that area, man. That's pretty dope, Nathan. I'm glad you're doing that, man. Thanks.
Thank you. Yeah,
I can guys go get some coats. That is awesome. Nathan and his whole family do so much. I do a lot of charity work doing it.
And I'm glad we're glad to be part of his foundation. And human trafficking is like a big thing. It's huge, and it's still going out. It's still going on, which we're trying to prevent quickly as soon as possible. And it's hard, but you got to work with as a whole team. And luckily, Hugh Jackson has an amazing woman by his side helping out with the foundation. Her name is Kimberly, and we help her out a lot with that too. So
sweet, good stuff.
Daniel, so some days, hearing about the high performance, love it, agree with it. With all of it, love to hear it. So some days you're going into games totally shredded, you're strong, you're ready, mentally, physically. And some days you're going in torn, in need of repair. So how do you flip the switch? Like when you get an unexpected hit on your head, your body, or your heart, like emotionally, how do you flip that switch mentally that says, I'm here and I'm gunning and I'm going forward, and I'm no matter what, I'm still at the same capacity. Like how do you flip that switch?
The crazy thing is, when I was telling you earlier, you got to be brainwashed to play this game, right? You play through injuries, so we're feeling pain every day. Like we're in pain every day. And I think when you're younger in this league, you recover a lot faster. The older you get, the longer it takes you to recover. Like you'll play a game on Sunday, and when you're young, you're fresh in this league. I say by Wednesday, you 100. Tuesday, that rest day, you come back Wednesday morning, you fresh, you like ready, let's go. But when you get old in this league, you rolling into Sunday and you haven't recovered from the last Sunday, and it's like that's when you start to notice I think it's time for me to shut it down, but you have to be brainwashed to be who we are. You have to be able to psych your own mind out to be who we are, because we'll play with a sprained ankle. The things that people put most people on crutches, we're out there running around, sprinting around with sprained ankles, hyperextended knees, groin pulls, quad strains, hamstring tweaks, stuff that sits people down. They won't even be able to walk. They're on crutches, they're in boots. We're out there running through turf toe, through the whole 9 yards, man. And plantar fasciitis, we still play through. There's so many. Some guys playing with fractured bones. T.O. played for the Eagles. I don't know if you remember that, with a broken leg. You remember that?
Yeah.
Like we literally, like, even right now to this day, like my left foot is why I retired. I'm in pain every day from my left foot. I wake up every morning in pain. My back is in pain every morning. My hips in pain. I still get up and I move around like ain't nothing wrong with me, and I feel nothing but pain. And then I hear people around me complaining about stuff like little stuff all the time. And it's like, bro, I woke up like that. I went to bed like
Right.
that. I'm like Beyonce. I woke up like this.
Yeah.
So
it's like a new normal thing.
Yeah, it becomes your normal. You have to be brainwashed to be able to be who we are and do what we do. So you ignore 99% of the stuff that's going on with you, and you are shocked when you can't go. When you can't go, it's the difference from being hurt and injured. You know, when you're hurt, you play through hurt. When you're injured, you can't play. And so when we really get injured, like, it's shocking to us. It's like, it's really like, I'm telling you right now, when I had to have my foot surgery and I was trying to figure out what was going on with my foot and why I couldn't run, and, you know, why I couldn't put weight on this thing, and why every time I feel like I was tearing it up every time I rehab for 2-3 weeks to start to feel better. I go out there and it's all over, like it started all over again. And I'd be right back on crutches, right back in the boot. And then 2-3 weeks later, I'm back out there again. Same thing. The same day I go back out there, I re-injured it again. It was something really wrong with me. I was broken for the first time in my life. This was like season 7 for me in the NFL. And it was the first time I just felt like, okay, I couldn't go. I broke my finger a couple of times, had surgeries on this. This don't even work no more. You know, I used to tape it up like that and still go catch balls and still practice and block every day. I didn't care. We just played through everything. I had a buddy of mine. He made a tackle and he ripped his pinky finger off. He ripped the tip of his pinky off.
Oh my God.
He taped it. He taped it up, put some gauze on it, taped it up, and went back in the game and kept playing. Put the pinky in the ice and went to have surgery after the game was over with. You know, so it's little stuff like that, man. You don't even know about. Yeah, you don't even know about it or think about it. You just do it. We just go play.
Just do it.
I mean, Corey Ivy that played for the Ravens with me, played in Tampa with me as well. He was on that Super Bowl team in Tampa with me and went to Baltimore with me. He got hurt when we played Pittsburgh. I want to say it was Pittsburgh one time, and he hurt his spleen or something. Might have been in Denver, because I felt like we had a long flight. We had to take an emergency landing somewhere. And he hurt his spleen. He played the whole game with a ruptured spleen, and he almost died. So he had to stop and get an emergency flight, get him to the airplane, get him to the hospital. He had to have surgery overnight, and then they brought him back to Baltimore a couple of days later after that. You know, but just to think that he was out there with a ruptured spleen. I had a guy, you know, Robert McCune, played with a cracked sternum the whole game. God. You know, it's crazy, man. Ray Lewis tore the bicep. He's still playing with a torn bicep. We play through everything. Stuff that people won't even get out of bed. Like, if you tear your bicep, you can't pick anything up.
Nope.
He out there making tackles.
It's incredible.
Bicep. Yeah. You know, so it's like when every time my wife see me scratch my head and my fingers like that, she be like, she just starts shaking her head because that finger don't work. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So she's like, I should have just told you to have that surgery. That finger bothers me every time I see it. You know? I made a tackle and my tendon popped off. So when the tendon popped off my finger, it sat in my hand for the whole season. I played the whole season with the tendon sitting right here. It was first sitting right here, and then by the end of the season, it was right here. So they had to cut my hand open. They had to cut my whole hand open, cut the tendon out, take the tendon out, and they couldn't reattach it. So now it has no tendon for that finger. So it's just there.
But that finger brought unity through sports.
Yep.
Okay.
Man, God bless your wife.
No, right?
Desire, dedication, discipline. Okay, we're grateful.
See,
we're grateful.
I know. It's like I don't know, Anthony Munoz's finger. If you saw his finger before, Anthony Munoz from the Bengals.
Yeah. If you ever watch Deion's fingers, his hands are all screwed up too. His hands is like locked like that all the time. When he talks, he's always talking like this.
Yeah,
like his hands are just beat up. Yeah, I'm almost every DB, almost every receiver, almost every single tight end, their hands are gonna be screwed up. And offensive linemen too. You know why offensive linemen hands are messed up? Because they have to grab jerseys and pads, and people block. They try to block. The linebackers be trying to rip through everything and chop through everything, so their fingers get dislocated all the time. Chops and the rips. Yeah. It messes up stuff all the time. My wife's in the back sticking her tongue at me right now, guys.
Oh, bring her in here. Bring her in here.
Come say hi.
She still have her house coat on, so she's not gonna want to come speak right now. They said come and say hey. She said no.
The wedding story.
Hey, tell her that that's amazing. Right.
I love that story.
Yeah.
But it's a great way to start a new year on the podcast. Yeah. I love it.
I appreciate it.
Before we wrap up, do you have time for like a few fan questions or no?
Sure. If you got some fans that want to ask some questions, I'll try to get those out of the way real quick.
All right.
Sure.
So one of our fans wants to know, obviously you talked about longevity into the into your guys' careers. So they want to know, what are your thoughts on Tom Brady, man? They want to know he threw 3 touchdowns yesterday, and he's 45 years old. So one of our fans wants to know, what are your thoughts on him, and how long do you think he can play?
I think this is it for Tom. I think the reason why I think this year is the last year for him, you know, we really play off ability and really this is one of the most important things, man. I'm telling you right now. Like I talk to reporters about this stuff all the time. Confidence is so important for us. So freaking, you can make the best player in the world would be the worst player if he loses his confidence.
Yeah.
And I think Tom Brady losing his wife and his kids this year was probably the most impactful thing that's ever happened to him in his life. You know, besides maybe losing a parent or something like that, right? And you don't really realize how important your support system is until they're not there. And you take your support system for granted when you're playing this game, because this game requires so much from us. And like I say, I always equate this game to being like the first girl I ever fell in love with, right?
Mm.
You know, so when you look at it, like this girl is like the prettiest, this football thing is like the prettiest female that you've ever dated, like his wife, Giselle, you know, like she's a beautiful, beautiful woman. She could have probably any man in the world she wanted, right?
Right.
She chose Tom. And that's how football is for each and every last one of us. You know, it's the prettiest girl we've ever seen, and it chose us. And if we don't cheat on football, football don't cheat on us. And just like a pretty woman, if you don't cheat on her, then she won't cheat on you.
Amen.
You know? Yeah. So
amen. You heard it here, everybody.
When you see,
be loyal.
When you see that when you see a man like Tom Brady that has been so high for so long, he's the upper echelon of what you would think an athlete would be or what a man would be, you know, because he has all those tools and he has a mindset that sets him apart from most people, that makes him so elite. And he's consistent no matter what it is he does, because you can't be the GOAT unless you're consistent. So if he take that same consistency into his relationship, then that relationship lasts a little bit longer, or it's nurtured and it's better. The problem is you can't have two beautiful women competing with each other. You have to choose one, right? They always make you choose.
Or have that balance. Between football and the relationship.
And it's hard when you got a woman that's that elite. It's hard. It's hard.
Children.
There's no balance. There's no balance in that. Yeah, you can't have two beautiful women competing against each other. That's elite women. And then one got kids that she feel like is more important than anything that you're doing. Right. You know, so she felt like she was left out because he chose the other woman more than he chose her.
Right.
And so since she bounced, that's disrupted his entire play and the entire team all year long. And I don't know if he's gonna recover from that. I really don't think he's gonna recover from that. And that would take more toll on his body than anything else. He won't sleep well.
It'll take years.
Well. Yeah, it'll take years off his life. You know, So I think I really do think he's done after this season. And I feel like he's a very talented individual, and the game has driven him so long. And I think if Giselle was really, really smart, she would just kept waiting it out. You know, because when you got somebody that's that talented at what they do, like, how do you make them choose?
Yeah.
But how do we know how long she waited? Maybe she waited it out for like the entire. We don't know.
He's 45. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was supposed to be retired 10 years ago. I retired at 32. You know what I'm saying? So I'm 45. You know, so I retired 12, 13 years ago now. So he's she married one of the guys that's so elite that got a chance to extend his career 20 years. That's very rare. It's so rare in this league. And the things that he's doing is going to take care of them and the kids for the rest of their life. And, you know, and if I was her, I would have just been more patient and I know she's been extremely patient. I'm not trying to take anything away from her. And I know how hard it is to be a single mom, you know, when you got a guy that's dedicated to another female, you know, so I know how hard it is for her. And I know it's an extreme situation, but she married an extreme situation off jump, you know, and she's been extremely patient, you know. But he's just that one guy, man. What can you say if a guy's just able to extend his career this long and he's in a position where he don't have to take a lot of hits no more because the league has evolved and changed so much? If this was still the old NFL, he'd have retired 12 years ago, 13 years ago. If this I played in, he couldn't play no more. But they've changed it so much to protect the quarterback nowadays. I mean, he could play till he's 45. You know, you can't. It's not like he's getting his body beat to crap no more. You know, like if he was playing back when I played, he was still playing. Like if it was the NFL was still
game
the NFL,
over.
It was in 2021. You wouldn't have to worry about him retiring. He'd be a cripple.
Or if you want to go way
we're
back,
gonna all pray over him.
Yeah, if you want to go
Because
way
it goes
back,
on.
if you want to go way back, my guy Lennon Marshall. If you don't know, if you don't know him, he laid out Joe Montana with that famous hit.
Yeah.
Tom Brady would not survive that.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like some of the stuff that we had to go through back when I played, you would not go across the middle
Leonard.
unless you was the bravest guy on the field back in the day.
Yeah,
Now
my
guys
guy
are running
Leonard
across the
Marshall.
middle, knowing they can't get hit all day long. It's crazy, man. So I mean, but I don't know. I feel like Tom Brady's done. This is his last season. I think he's gonna have to pack it up just to recover from the losses that he's taking right now. He's taking some major hits and some major losses outside of football that is going to be extremely hard to recover from. It's nothing like taking a man kids away from him. You know, even though I don't get a chance to spend a ton of time with them, just coming home to my sons every single day, I wouldn't replace that for anything.
Yeah. Emotional weight is the heaviest to carry.
And he's got another kid with another marriage too. So that old marriage. So
yeah,
I mean that's
and
hard.
He just lost 2 moms probably, you know, because he was with Tom and Giselle, I think, if I remember correctly. And now she's gone. So now he probably stays with Tom just by himself now, I would think.
Oh.
You know, so he basically lost 2 moms in his lifetime because Giselle been his mom since he was little.
Oh my God.
Hard.
So we'll take 2 more fan questions. So one of my friends, he's a big Ravens fan. So he wants to know. He wants to put you on the spot. He wants to know if Lamar Jackson will come back next year.
I don't think so. I really do feel like Lamar is in a very unique situation, and I hate to say I don't think so because I think he really do love Baltimore, and the city of Baltimore loves him like crazy, you know. But I think he's in a very unique situation because he is his own agent, so he gets a chance to hear the stuff that we never get to hear, the stuff that get filtered out by our agents to us. Our agent will have a different conversation with us than he would have with the GM, and I don't get to hear the things the GM likes about me and don't likes about me and stuff. My agent only tell me the good stuff. Lamar has to be front row for that, him and his mom. And then what happens when somebody has to be brutally honest with you is you get your feelings hurt, you get emotionally frustrated sometimes. It's like it's a relationship, right? You know, so when somebody's brutally honest with you and she really tell you how she really feel, you know, you might not like to hear everything she got to say. And you might not agree with everything she had to say either. It's like, how can you look at me that way and see me that way when I'm out here giving my all for you every single day and every single day in and day out? You don't even see the stuff I do when I'm not away from here, but I'm going hard for you all the time. And you don't feel like I'm worth it. You don't think I'm better than this guy that got this and he got that, and you don't think I should get the same, you know? So I think it's going to be an issue. And the Ravens have always been such a smart franchise and a smart front, you know, a really well-ran organization. You know, Steve Bisciotti, I think to me is one of the best owners in the entire league. I love him to death. And I just think he always carried himself extremely well. And he actually loved the Baltimore Ravens. So it's not a knock against Lamar or anything like that, but they're going to make the decision they think is best for the team. And what the Ravens have always done is they'll replace the best guy with 2 or 3 other guys. You know, they won't be able to do that with a quarterback because you can't bring in 2 or 3 quarterbacks to replace one, but that's what they've always did in every single position. If there's somebody that they think they could come in and be that guy for them, they may take a chance on somebody else in the draft next year and let Lamar go. Yeah, I don't know if they're going to afford to give him what he wants. And I thought this year was going to be such a great year for Lamar. I thought he was going to, you know, he got hurt and banged up, you know, and but you see how important he is to that team when he's hurt and banged up, because there was some people thinking like, no, Tyler Huntley is just as good as Lamar. Let Lamar go. I'm like, man, what? You're crazy? You know, Tyler Huntley is dope. He's a dope backup quarterback, probably one of the dopest backup quarterbacks in the league, and could probably go start for a lot of teams right now, you know, but he ain't Lamar Jackson. You know, Lamar is real different. He's real
He's built different. He's built different.
He is. But I mean, I keep seeing this stuff about New York popping up, you know, so.
I know him in Miami, Jets in Miami.
Italy Jet.
I'm hoping, but we'll see what happens.
I don't think I think Miami would be a good fit because he's from Florida.
Dolphin.
In his situation, he the last person need to go to Florida. That's my personal thought, you know. And I mean, I don't know. I'm only saying that because Lamar is from Florida. He's from Miami area, that area down there. And I can only imagine like how many people is like in his face with him being the star of almost the entire league, you know, playing in Baltimore. He was to go to Miami and ball out down there with all the people that he know and grew up with. I think he'll be a prime target. He's gonna have to find somewhere. He's gonna have to go move to Star Island and stay away from everybody that he know and never go back to his own city, because it's gonna be, I mean, something bad, like Sean Taylor incident, you know, something bad really could happen to him. You know, he got to really be in the right situation, you know, going back to Florida. I think if I was him, I would try to stay away from that. And I'm only saying that from my own experiences too, you know, like you want to be around your family because that's who you grew up with all the time, you know, but once you get to this level, you have to really find a way to kind of separate yourself. It's a reason why Iron Man lived on the cliff, you know. It's a reason when you watch the movie Iron Man, and it's a reason why Batman got a bat cave.
Yeah.
You know, it's the reason why those people are always kind of, you know, soloed off to the side like that, you know, so it's important to have your space.
So we'll take one more fan question. They want to know, what was it like playing underneath Herm Edwards? And obviously he's known for you played to win the game. So what was he like? They want to know, what was he like
to win the game? Know,
right.
Herm was dope, man. Like I told you my experience of, you know, I felt like, I remember back when he cut me the first time, and it wasn't Herm that cut me, but I felt like it was, right? Because he's talking to a young man. I'm a rookie in the league. I don't know anything about the NFL. All this stuff is new to me. So that one conversation he had with me before I got cut, you know, it hurt my feelings for a long time, man, until I really realized exactly what this league was about. Yeah. And I knew it was a business. I always knew it was a business because that's what everybody tell you from day one. But that doesn't stop a kid from being loyal. You know, that doesn't stop a kid from being loyal to a franchise and loyal to a team and loyal to his teammates and loyal to his coaches, because you're coming in from college and that's all you know. You know, like when I played at App State, I bled black and gold. You know, when I played at Georgia Military, I bled red and silver. You know, when I played in high school, I bled blue and gold. So when I got to New York, I bled green and white. You know, so Herm was probably one of the coolest coaches, and I think it was a really cool experience because I had one of the few black head coaches in the league that year, and then he was a former player. You know, so for a former player to be your head coach, you felt like, all right, I'm in the NFL, dog. Yeah. All right, I'm really in the NFL. He was my weapon to the NFL moment. You know, he really was, you know, having a black head coach, you know, being a young black kid, wishing and praying my entire life to be in the NFL. Yeah. Then you get to that highest level, and you got probably it was like one or two black coaches, I think, at the time. I think Cincinnati and New York at the time. Maybe Chicago. I think Chicago
Lovie Smith. Yeah.
I think it was those three: Marvin Lewis and Cincy, and then Herman in New York, and that was it. I don't think it was nobody else. You know, I had one of the three at the time.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it was a really cool experience, and I remember meeting Herm. He was so approachable. You know, he wasn't like the guy that was, you know, speak to you but don't really mess with you at all. You know, his wife was really, really sweet to me. His son was really, really nice. You know, his son used to watch my condo. I used to let him house sit my condo when I went to Tampa. You know, his son went to South Florida, you know, so, you know, we became really, really close, man. I think his wife really loved me a lot, you know, and I think his kid loved me a lot as well. And it just made a really good experience for me, man. I felt like for the first time, I was really a part of somebody else's family when I got to New York, and Herm made it feel like it was family oriented. But I almost didn't like him because he cut me. He was my first three cuts came from Herm Edwards' staff. You know, so and people don't realize, like, you have to actually get cut to get signed to the practice squad, and then you have to get cut to sign to the active roster. So they cut me the first time when I got hurt, and Herm had told me, "Don't worry about it, man. You're gonna be good." And they cut me the same day. I thought it was Herm that cut me. I didn't know it was the GM and it was the front office people. So I didn't like Herm for a couple of weeks. You know, then I get healthy and I come back to New York. I only got a chance to play one preseason game. And I made the team off one preseason game. Now I love Herm all over again. I'm back with the squad. And then it took me a while to kind of figure out the mechanics of the system and how it's trickled down from the owner to the president, from the president to the GM to player personnel to the scouting department to the coaching staff. You know, like, it's really a hierarchy. It's a chain of command, just like the military and the army, man. Like, it's really, 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 really structured, you know. And when it comes down, that my name has to be passed through all those guys before I get cut. And it's usually the general manager that's, you know, at the time it was Mike Tannenbaum. He the one that set me down and talked to me. I hate it. I still hate Mike Tannenbaum to this day. I still don't like Mike all the way.
Oh my gosh.
Hell, man. You know, he crushed the young man's dream, man. He really did. He crushed the young man's dream back in the day. And he did it with such a straight face, like it didn't even bother him. Hey, dang, I'm gonna have to let you go. You know, I was like, just like that, like, dang, I've been working my butt off. I did everything you asked me to do. I've worked you know what I'm saying? Like, it just, you gonna let me go just because I get hurt? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm gonna be back in 3-4 weeks, bro. Just sit. But that's how the business worked. I didn't understand at the time, you know? So it's like, it's one of those times where, you know, like I said, it's all about relationships. This girlfriend that cut me off back in high school, I still ain't forgave her for it. You know what I'm saying? That's how it is. The first time you get cut, it's like you're the one that broke my heart first, you know. And Mike Tannenbaum was that guy for me. I don't hate him, but you know, I didn't like him for a long time.
Oh, you're gonna hate this because we had him on our show 2 years ago.
Did you really?
Yeah. 2020.
Oh, wow.
Hey, he's sharp, man.
And he's
Mike,
a surprise guest right now.
Oh my goodness.
He's
Exclusive.
a sharp guy. Mike is a sharp guy though, man. I mean, you go through all these experiences like throughout this process, and you got to understand the NFL is a job. You know, people look at it like it's a game because we're playing a game,
Right.
but it's really a job. You know, you got your president, you got your owners, the presidents, the CEOs. That's how it's structured the exact same way. So every day when I went to practice, I was really going to work. You know,
Right.
you know, people don't really see it that way. It's a full-time job. It's not a 9 to 5. It's a freaking 5 to 5. You know, you're working every day from crazy hours, man. And then on the weekends, you don't even get the weekends off, you know, and then you don't get vacations. Your only vacation is a freaking bye week. And then the bye week, they usually give you 2 or 3 days. It's not even a real vacation. In the off season, you think you get to take a vacation for real, and you can. It's up to you how long you take in the off season, but you ain't got that long, you know, like you literally done. If you make it to the playoffs, you're done with football in February, you're reporting back in March.
Wow.
It's not that long. It's not that long
That's
at all.
true.
If you make it to the Super Bowl's in February and you report back in March.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a
Like,
lot of
you got
sports
like
are
a
like
week.
that, though.
Yeah.
A lot of sports are like that.
Yeah.
don't
There's
even
no
get a
off
break.
season.
Oh,
And
it's
you-
serious work. It's serious work. It's high performance work. It's what
high
it is.
performance work. Yep. Absolutely. You can't let a
Respect.
Ferrari. You can't let a Ferrari
Respect.
just sit up in the garage and not drive it. You got to crank it up.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Show up, show
Daniel-
out.
Yeah, so Daniel Wilcox, I just want to say thank you for joining us today. This was an honor, great story. Wow, this was exactly 1 hour. This is awesome, and you shared a lot, and our fans was entertained. We got a lot of we got more comments and questions on my app, which is interesting. So
Okay.
yeah, so they said thank you for coming on the show, and so Italy, we're gonna go around. If Italy, what do you have? If you want to talk about what do you have coming next, and where they can find you on social media.
You can follow Italy Jet on all social media platforms. I do a bunch of Jets content. I do soccer content as well for Let's Talk Sports. And I do 15 shows a week, so you could see me everywhere. But I appreciate you. Daniel Wilcox, big fan. I appreciate you as well.
Thank you,
And
brother.
Kia, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Thank you so much. And I'm on Instagram as Kia Lions Heart. I also have High Performance Consulting, represents high performance stories, success stories, and diversity inclusion. And I do custom menswear too. So Daniel, I have clients that will be getting those leather jackets for sure.
Let me know. I got some dope ones
Thank
for
you so much. This was amazing.
Thank you, kid.
Daniel, if you want to plug your nonprofit organization so fans can find out where they can search for your foundation, and also where can our fans follow you on social media?
On social media, on Instagram, I have Daniel.Wilcox, and that's Daniel Wilcox. And then on Twitter is @Coach Wilcox. And I also have a construction company where I build custom homes and stuff like that here in Atlanta.
Wow.
And it's Wilcox Customs LLC, and that's on IG. And you can also find that on TikTok as well.
Oh, wow.
So
Okay.
then as far as I don't really have a big social media presence at all. I have a Daniel Wilcox I Will Foundation.
Yeah.
It used to be called the Empowerment Minds Foundation when I was in Baltimore, but I just changed the name last year. And Matt Stover is holding me down. He's now running the foundation for me on his end as far as all the paperwork side of it. He was one of the best kickers in the NFL at the time when I played.
Oh yeah.
Go ahead, Kia.
I was just going to say that's amazing. I have a company where I will help to promote your foundational work as well, Platinum Prints. So happy to share it. Do a feature.
We need to definitely exchange numbers, Kia, before we get off, so I can make sure I have the information you have mine.
For sure.
Yeah, and we build a lot of custom stuff here in Atlanta. Though we build houses, we build bathrooms, kitchens, basement remodels and stuff like that as well. So we're doing a little bit of that stuff. So that's Wilcox Customs LLC at IG. And my website is www.wilcoxcustoms.com as well. And then you can always also find me on the Believe Network on all freaking podcast platforms at all. And that's the Believe in the Ravens podcast that we do every week, me and Bo Smoker. So I appreciate you guys for having me on, Ethan. And it's been a great hour and a half with you guys. And looking forward to coming on again, man.
This is amazing. We're gonna all
appreciate
over your podcast now too, for sure.
What a great way! What a great way to start off the new year. And also, this is the sequel to Bachelor starting January 23rd. So there you go.
Sweet. You already know what's up, baby. The Bachelor,
Daniel, you're
the
also
Bachelor
the love
NFL
coach.
edition.
We need to have your wife on, and
Yeah,
also
we got-
Coach Freddie.
Yeah, let me know when y'all want to get her on. I would definitely
Yeah.
plug you all in with
That
her.
would be
you know.
cool.
I would plug y'all in with her at all. She has some pretty unique insight being a wife of an NFL guy and all her endeavors and travel, travel experiences.
Pageant,
She was Miss Belize. She was a pageant winner and all that type of
Pageant.
stuff. Miss Belize of New York. And she's
wow.
done a lot. She's done a lot of stuff. She's into television and stuff now. So she's doing commercials every single week.
Oh, wow.
If y'all get a chance, man, y'all go
Wow.
to Amazon Prime and y'all check out the TV show that I'm on called Life After.
Okay.
Thomas Jones, my former teammate from the New York Jets and the Buccaneers, he started a show called Life After,
Yeah.
and it's all about life after football. And it's on Amazon Prime right now. Came out last month, and I think I'm episode either 7 or 8. But
Oh,
if you get a
wow.
chance to get on there and check us out, man, I would appreciate you guys kind of giving us some love and support with that as well.
Oh, congrats.
Love that.
Congrats.
Oh, awesome.
Well,
I'll check
I'm
it
going to
out.
talk to him too, because I wanted to create a reality show where you follow the wives and the NFL players or baseball or whatever. But like
Right.
that is such a commitment. It's such a support. It's your whole life is how you're supported at home. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But the travel is grueling. And so we all love sports and the whole world benefits from it. But it's like, to see the sacrifice and the commitment and when you get cut and you're going here, you're in the middle of playoffs here, but you're going to now have to just go shoot to another team, pick up your whole life. That's amazing to me.
Yeah, your wife definitely got to be an event planner, or she got to be a freaking travel agent or something, boy. 'Cause she's usually the one that got to handle all that stuff. You know, if you got a good wife and you getting cut and you having to go from team to team, like you literally be playing for the Jets today, the Ravens tomorrow, and then the Bucks a week later.
Wow.
That's how crazy it is. So this league is such a crazy, high paced, super fast league that you just have no idea where you're gonna be week to week sometimes. And to be able to get some consistency in that world is huge. So those guys like the Tom Brady's that played so long for the Patriots and now playing for the Bucks, only played for 2 teams. Those are the guys like the Ray Lewises that never had to leave Baltimore. Those are the guys that are phenomenal. They're really, really, really elite and just really, really phenomenal.
Wow.
Well, I'm so glad you're blessed with the consistency team of your family. So that's awesome. Prayers over you in 23, and we'll check out the show.
Same for you guys.
Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Definitely.
All right. Thank you.
Out, guys.
All right, let's see.